ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FCDB Cup 2017 qualifier. My name is Hawker, joined by Danny to bring you the action today. And how are you doing today, Danny?
I'm doing quite well. I have to admit my Counter-Strike is acting up, but other than that, I'm quite happy. Today is a good day. Like in the world, in the terms of Counter-Strike, we had the minors just being over. Me being a Renegades fan, I get to witness them actually win a tournament for probably the first time ever. Them actually winning a proper Premier League tournament. So for me, it's a good day. It is a good day, like Ice Cube would say himself.
And hopefully, we are here to make it an even better day for you, because we've got plenty of games coming up today, starting with Passions up against Tricked. Passions have already played 4 games in this tournament so far in their group. They've already beaten Pride, Nova, and El Quivet, and they took a tight loss against Team 5, whereas Tricked only one game in. They themselves also beat Pride. In fact, both these teams beat Pride fairly easily, 16-3 for Passions and 16-7 for Tricked. So that's something to point out heading into this one, as we see Tricked take the knife round, and we'll get underway into Train soon.
Yeah, we're going to be having Train. That's a relatively decent map for Passions. They kind of enjoy playing this map. I said, Tricked, I don't know much about the Danish squad, but what I can say about the Danish squad, and you, Haka, mentioned before the podcast as well, they have a new player in the form of Snetker from Team Odset, I think, Odense? I think that's something like that, Odense, another Danish team.
Yeah, and I believe he will be stepping straight into the primary AWP position as well. It seems like, I had to do my research a bit, I'm not going to lie, but it seems like he is an AWPer as well. And Refresh, of course, was the AWPer for Tricked in the past. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs here as we head underway into Train. Tricked starting on the CT side. Rixo with the kit and the smoke. In the meantime, Benny's gone for the set of nades. And Passion's slowly walking their way, inching their way forwards. Seems like towards the B side of the map, but there is a player peeking in towards Brown Halls. Console is the man over towards upper, and 2 players stacked in towards A ramp. This is going to be very difficult for Passions with the Glocks. There's the first. Rusty does get traded on, and Snedker's only good for the 1 kill. In the meantime, Brolan also finds another frag. And so Lucky on the rotate, sure, gets a frag back, but they're still at a man disadvantage.
Yeah, pretty, I'd say, disadvantageous position now for Luki and Rixo. Of course, good thing for Rixo that he's got that defuse kit, he's got that smoke, and Luki pushing up for some odd reason. The player Hampus hasn't even reacted at time, but now Rixo can definitely stick the defuse. This is the opportune time, as you do get to see Luki holding his back. He's actually pushing Brown Holes, and for some odd reason, finally they look at him, but Luki will be already picking up both of those frags. So very nicely done there by Tricked, or to be exact, Luki. I mean, he did such a great job picking up those 4 kills. Not only that, those 2 kills in the end of great importance for the Tricked side.
Yeah, considering the B push did come through there, I'm sure Tricked would have been hoping they could have just held onto the site earlier with the 3 players stacked. But Passions do a great job at gaining control there. The Glocks do a good job at trading up close in towards ramp, which is what you might expect. But then still Tricked on the rotate around, they managed to get into position fairly quickly. You saw, importantly, Lucky got that 1 frag from Connector before the push came down, and that really made a big difference there for Tricked in terms of finding that retake. So now, of course, Passions, they will force into this round off the back of the bomb plant. I was not expecting that. And already we're seeing some nades, out towards this A site. But Passions not pushing off the back of the nades just yet because of the incendiary slowing them down. However, here come the UMPs making their way forwards, and it's Brolan to open things up. Looking for a second kill. Insta finds the trade, but there's Rusty with a second up to find a frag. So the bomb's going to go down fairly easily here for the Swedes.
Yeah, this is pretty good for Passions, I have to admit. They planted the bomb, and in fact they have relatively good positions, but definitely not the best. As you already get to see some of those Tricked players making their way around the bomb site. Rusty's still very much in the smoke, but look at that flash. That's a very good flash being popped, and now Console and Snetker, they don't have defuse, because this might take a while to defuse itself, and Rusty should be getting that kill. And in fact, he will, and Console now in a pretty awkward spot. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of HP, and winning this round is beyond imagining. So, Passions, in fact, they are going to be picking up that round. Very simple round from them. Of course, trying to go for a force, but after planting the bomb is quite risky, you have to admit, but at the same time, They deploy the right smokes onto the A bomb site, allowing a bomb plant, and then having relatively good post plant positions. Being in the free versus free and all that was very good. And Trick also lacking some of those diffuse because in the end also played quite a big role. So anyhow, Passions end up picking that round, and Tricked gonna have to be on a good old-fashioned eco by the looks of it. Snedker though, spotting out at least a couple players, retreats, waits for backup, and let's see if the pistols can accomplish at least something. Maybe acquire a couple kills here, possible. Snedker pushing up, and he will be picking up said kill. Might just go for more, but don't expect much from Trick.
Yeah, Trick there playing fairly safe towards B. They let the bomb site be taken, so the rest of Passion should just clean this up fairly easily. There's Benny to find a couple of frags, and there it is. And just talking about that previous round from Passions, sometimes I think you will see teams take a risk of that force if they can afford to maybe drop AKs for each other, but we saw Passions there just really go for the UMPs and the pistols and invest into utility to make sure they could get that bomb plant fairly quickly. And as soon as you get the bomb plants, you've already got an okay position out of the round, because then you will get that extra money. You will be able to afford to buy off the back of just one eco. So I actually really like the decision from Passions in that previous one to buy up. We see what it means for them now. Of course, they're up against another very low buy from Tricked. Should be fairly easy. Zadish making his way in first. The USP does get a kill there for Lucky, so a little bit dangerous here as Console himself finds a frag. Rusty, though, with the AK, looking to shut this out, and Benny himself finds a kill. Still looking good for Passions, despite a little bit of a scare. I think they will get it done as Console is stuck in a 1-on-2.
A pretty difficult 1 versus 2 at that, especially with Hampus coming up from behind, and he will be securing that very last kill. So Passions, a relatively decent damage being dealt here on the Passions economy from Trick, and it's also a good thing, they didn't force up. Of course, Trick didn't have a lot of money. They could have forced up, but they decided to take it a pretty relatively good approach. They just try to invest in some of those better pistols, still leaving at least $1,000 in the bank, and doing so for the past 2 rounds means that they can actually afford the double op setup. So this is interesting now. Snedker, with his op being positioned towards Brown Hole, spotting out the player, but in fact, he won't be getting the kill. Well, he will now, but Insta, look at the positioning of Insta. He can do some serious damage, and he will pick it up a kill. Rixo as well, this time around on the other part of the map. And Rusty and Benny gotta be feeling pretty dazed at this point. How on earth did we lose all 3 of our guys?
Yeah, it's the 2 AWPs both finding an entry kill each there, and they didn't really have to work too hard for it. As we see Benny make a weird play there, just walking out through the smoke, maybe hoping to get lucky. To be fair, once you're in a 2-on-4, you kind of just have to hope that someone makes a mistake on the opposition side. So Rusty will try and make his way towards B, but Insta should have heard that. You can already see he's been spotted. There is a headshot for Rusty, though, so that might just allow him to get the bomb down, and indeed that will be the case. And the Orcs need to make sure they don't miss their shots, because then they do run the risk of being taken out by the AK. Rusty still just playing patiently, waiting. However, there is Snedker stepping up. The new boy gets 2 kills with the AWP, and Trick to get the first gun round on the board. And the double AWPs will be saved into the next round, which is certainly very nice for the Tricked side.
Oh yes, definitely. It is very nice to see from the Danish squad to actually keep both of those scope rifles into the next round, as of course rocking the double AWP setup is very costly on that CT side, and surviving with both of these ops is relatively good now for the CTs, but they also gotta be keeping it in mind that double op setup is nice and all, but they're gonna have to be dropping at least one of the rifles in most scenarios in order to recover an op if it is dropped. So double up setup is costly, and it would be nice to see Trick start building up some sort of bank. Otherwise, still Passion's very much in contagion to actually even break the economy of the CT side, and same could be said for Passions. After all, this terrorist side invested very heavily into this round, so both these teams have got to be relatively careful. And speaking about being careful, Rixo actually shoots his teammate there. That was not supposed to happen from the Tricked side.
Yeah, it could have gone worse. Lucky still on 65 HP. I'm sure he wouldn't like to be that low, but he's going to have to just deal with it. Trick themselves, by the way, have Console aggressively pushed in towards Ivy, so he's got a decent amount of information, but he's not going to risk going out any further. In the meantime, the rest of Passions seem to be lining up around the A site again. They have had some success there in some previous rounds, so we'll have to see if that comes through. Seems like with 53 seconds left, they're going to have to push fairly soon here. That shot landed there, I think, from Rixo. Hampus is down to 26 HP. So I guess that must have been Rixo AWPing through the wall to find a huge amount of damage. Not the kill, though, and so the push will continue to the site. With 38 seconds left, Passions are going to look to overwhelm this A bomb site. And you can see Tricked on the map are playing incredibly safe here. I think they're going to let the bomb go down without any real contest because Console is all the way on the big flank. Let's see how this one unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them plant the bomb, especially as you have players like Console and Insta now going for the flanks. So they gotta be careful now. Passions, they're giving away a bit too much here, you could say that. But now, the Trick side is gonna be having it relatively easy. Hampus and Zaid. The last, he's now standing for the terrorist side. And the thing is, though, Rexo will be knocking one of them out. And it's all up to Zaid, who falls in the terrorists. I mean, they were, I'd say, very happy to have that bomb plant. Very happy indeed. They're thinking, okay, 5 versus 5, post-plant situation. We should be favored here. But you have to admit, the flank from Insta and Console. Console going for that long flank as well. And Insta from PopDog doing such a good job from the Danish side. And Passions, like the boys are gonna have to go for a bit of a partial buy. As Passions will be having enough money on the 8th round. But for the time being, just gonna be rocking these pistols as well as some of that armor.
Yeah, and with how that was played from Tricked, I am fairly impressed that they realized they should just sit back on the A site. They have control elsewhere. They know the push is going to come towards A, and they know that their teammates are ready for the flank. So I'm very happy to see that Tricked just play things safe and allow the bomb plant, because Passions still were not able to get into any really good post-plant positions. You saw the bomb was planted for PopDog, and yet Tricked pretty much had control of that themselves. So Passions couldn't really get too much out of it. And now Passions with this half buy. They have left a fair amount of money behind. They will go for the B play, the CZs, trying to find some close range fights. Insta is playing up close here. He could be at risk. The pistols overwhelm him. It's Benny to get that opening frag, and the bomb will go down on the site fairly quickly here. Trick need to be a little bit careful now. You can see them all on the map towards the same positions for the retake. And Brolan himself has found another frag, and this is all going horribly wrong. Brolan gets 2 kills there, as Benny also finds another. And how has this just collapsed on the B site? Console is going to have to just save. Well, not even that. Benny takes him down. What is there to say about that round?
Horrible positioning. Horrible positioning from some of the players, and to be exact, Insta. I have no idea why on earth did he decide to play right behind Coil. I mean, after all, he should be expecting the terrorist side to be having a relatively weaker buy. And if the T's have a weaker buy, if they're able to overwhelm the B-bomb side, then the players like Insta should be playing behind the site, maybe even farther away towards the connector, and then wait for a rotate to come in, so that the entirety of the CT site can then have a relatively good chance at retaking the bomb site. Insta playing in that spot, also not getting a single frag was quite dissatisfying to say the least, and from that point onward, the Trick defense falls out like a domino, every single player falling one by one, and thus Passions able to claim a round, and they're going to be quite happy with the sort of partial investment that they did have to acquire a round. It's going to be very good for the Passion side. Trick back on the eco as they are facing sort of this economic turmoil, but they should be good enough to come back on the 9th round. But for the time being, Trick, if they can do some more damage here, that'd be very good on the Passions economy, but even that doesn't seem to be the case. Console, the dig in hand, will still try to do something, but maybe recover a rifle, but even then, difficult, a little bit rusty shooting you through the smoke like that. So Passions pick up their 5th.
Yeah, and Tricked earlier wanted that double AWP setup. That's what got them their first gun round, and we will see that come out again. But I was about to say, at what cost? Because you can already see both AWP players have to go without the Kevlar. Snedka is full glass cannon, all his money into that AWP, except for $50 in the bank. And then Rixo himself can only afford 2 flashbangs. So that's something to watch out for in this round. If Passions wait things out, then the utility might be risk not having enough on the CT side, but Passions are not going to go slowly. The push comes fairly quickly towards the site as Rusty gets that opening kill. So the bomb will go down without really anything else happening here. Tricked in a lot of trouble right now. The molly forces another player out, and Benny finds another frag. So Passions have to be in the ascendancy now. There's Brolan with another headshot. And Trick's just nowhere near the site at this point. How did that go so wrong as well? Just one kill and Passions get the bomb down.
Yeah, that's quite dissatisfying, I have to admit, for the Trick side. Again, we saw them purchasing the both of the AWPs, but in fact, I think Rixo had his up. He did get one kill, but in the end, that wasn't much. That wasn't much from the Trick side. They needed to get more kills, as them not getting at least a couple more kills allowed Passions to actually push through, plant that bomb, and have a relatively good effort. And now Trick, at least the saving grace now for the CT side is that they have been able to save that rifle and the scoped sniper rifle indeed. But I'm guessing now if you're Trick, wouldn't be that bad of an ordeal to maybe allow Snekker, you saw him play towards brown holes previously, allow him to have that vision towards brown holes, play alone towards B, and have the rest of the players towards A. But in fact, they're just gonna try to stack A. This is quite the interesting setup. Ben gotta be careful about this one, as that Snekker with the op already falling, and thus that's the op out of the equation.
Yeah, and that's a huge loss for Trick. You can see them pushing elsewhere, but that's not really going to have too much of a chance of success considering they only have the pistols. And you can see Passions themselves very focused towards Ivy. 3 players here. The Molotovs will slow them down from the Tricked side of things. The Trick themselves are just still playing fairly safe. Console is the next man on the line of defense, and he does have that M4. He's going to need to find multiple kills here to give Tricked a realistic chance at this round win. And as Passions throw a couple of nades over the top, I will expect the push to come through now. Rixo decides to peek out first, and he nearly gets that kill. In the meantime, the 2 stacking towards A main could work out because Hampus is by himself. You can see Hampus getting forced back. Can't really risk pushing in here and giving up the AK. The Molotov goes out, Insta's burning, he needs to be careful, and he does reposition, but that allows Hampus now to push out. Great headshot, nice double spray down. Very well played by Hampus there to clear the close position, but Console himself finds a frag back, and so we're into a 2-on-3 here with the bomb out in the open, and Console finds a second kill. This starts to become a little dangerous. Console gets gifted a third. Why is Benny peeking into the open on such low health? He just leaves Zadish by himself, 1-on-1 now as he takes down the first opponent. 22 seconds left, and Rixo does spot him out. 19 seconds, he can't really go around towards B, so he's going to have to push the player and just go for the frag. Rixo playing it well, and he gets the final shot he needed. Tricked come out on top, mainly thanks to Console finding 4 kills there.
Absolutely good stuff there from the Trick side. I was quite hesitant, especially with that op already being dropped from Snekker. You're thinking that things are gonna go south relatively quickly, but then you saw Console picking up those 4 frags, huge frags from him nonetheless. And of course, it was also very nice to see that Rixo finishing things up with the Deagle. Very nice stuff. And Rixo, an opening for the Trick side. Passions, I do hope a round like that will not go into their heads as much as, that was some grave mistakes. Grave mistakes being made from the Passion side, and Insta allowed the player to sneak past through. Snekker holding behind Coil, but at least he's able to get 2 frags in comparison to Insta. The round that did lose a while ago wasn't able to get a single frag, and Rusty and Brolin from the terrorist side are still alive and kicking. But is that going to mean much? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Rixo with the op. Now they know the positioning of Brolin, and this is pretty much the end for Passions, as Trick able to acquire their 5th round. And, well, I have to admit, this is looking relatively close here. Passions, they still have a decent amount of equipment, and, of course, the purchase does make sense. They got 6 rounds on the terror side. It's definitely not looking too shabby, I have to admit.
Yeah, exactly. Already 6 rounds, and also Passions still with plenty more chances. We are heading towards, of course, the latter stages of this first half, but Passions still have a strong buy, of course. Benny there with the AWP, and Console could be the man in danger at the early stages because Passions have 3 players towards Ivy ready to make their way forwards. And with Console playing this close position, it's not going to be easy for him to fall back. If he takes a fight, he's almost certainly going to be traded on. So the question is, can he get assistance from Rixo, who's holding back with the AWP? There's the first 2 kills for Rixo, re-peeking for the 3rd shot, but not quite a 3rd kill. Instead, it's Console who swings out wide and finds himself the frag. The bait and switch works wonderfully well. Here's Hampus to at least get 1 frag back, but still 4 more to find for Hampus and Zadish between them. And with the bomb down towards Ivy, this one looks like it should already be over.
And it is. It is very much over now at this point. That was a very nice setup, you have to admit, in Ivy. The bait and switch, as you called. I mean, Rixo picking up kills with Yop. Not only that, the worst case scenario, Console already timing in with a kill as he saw. And I think heard the third T stepping around towards Ivy as well. So very nicely done from the Trick side when it comes down to defense. Holding off Ivy. Good job, but I still have to admit the B part of the map is still got some weaker points, especially we saw around previously when one of the players from the Passion side was actually able to sneak past through heaven and take down one of the defenders. So I think, and I honestly don't blame Passions to actually try and hit this B part of the map because they've, I think, noticed themselves this should be the weaker part of the map as they haven't getting reasonably good success at getting opening frags. And speaking about frags, no frags are actually happening, but the bomb will be planted for this Passion side. That is not that big of an issue, but as they're pushing forward towards these trains, this is of course a very good tactic to be doing for Passions. They want to try to get the pistols in close quarters engagements, but the thing is though, now the pistol players are dropping like flies, and I guess the good thing is that they got the bomb down. Otherwise, this would not be that good of a round.
Yeah, the quick play, of course, means that Tricks still have a lot of utility left as well, but they don't even need it. Looky just running and gunning with the MP9. There are all the kills. 4 frags for him, farming up a little bit of extra money, even though it's not really necessary because Tricks have a lot of money already in the bank. But Rixo will happily go up to 13k. And Passions, again, themselves do get the bomb plant, so this should be very much a full buy on their side. In the meantime, of course, Tricked happy to go back to the double AWP setup. We've seen Rixo be, I think, the main AWPer for the team as far as I'm aware. It seems like he's picking it up more of the time, and he's also going a bit more aggressive with it, especially in that previous round out towards Ivy. It seems like he's the man really trying to get things happening early on, and that's been working so far. In the meantime, in this round, Tricked have 3 players stacked towards B at the early stages. Fairly surprised to see such a heavy stack early into the round and them not pushing forwards. I was expecting them to push out into brown halls and gain the information. But for the time being, they're just sitting back, and that could cost them if Passions were to go for an A play. And they're currently grouped up around towards A. It looks like they might come forwards here. And Rixo with the AWP, sure, he's holding a long-range angle, but he's just not going to find any gap in the smoke. There's no chance for the frag. And so Passions get the bomb down for free, and it's a 5-on-5 retake on the A site.
Yeah, this is now looking difficult. I have to admit for Tricked. Retaken previously, the saving grace for them was that at least they had players flanking from behind, but now they're just going to be walking into the crosshairs of Passions, and this is where things really get tricky. The terrorists have got it, I presume, unless Council got something to say about it. Picking up that frag, and I guess the good thing for Trick is that they have some of that utility, and utility will be deployed, but there's still frags happening all over, and now Benny, can he do something? There's barely any time left in the defuse, and he might... No, Snicker! I don't think he had enough time in the end, but him ducking right there also didn't make things any better as he stops the defuse while he's ducking. Quack, quack, quack.
Quack, quack, quack indeed. As we head into the last round of the half. 7-7 scoreline, so the winner of this will have the slight lead heading into the second half of things. And both teams still have pretty much full buys on their side. Rixo has the single AWP for the CT side. And this time Snedka's going to be solo holding B to start things off. So after a 3B stack last time, it's only 1B this time. However, the A-hole's still not looking good because Lucky goes down first. Insta on the site is taking shots from all possible angles. And Benny is also looking for a pick with the AWP. Because Passion's waiting patiently and they finally find another frag. The bomb will go down. And yet again, Tricked have to try and retake. And even though Console's got the 1 kill, they're going to need much more than that. Brolan on the site did go down low to the molly. And he is taken down before Hampus finds the trade. So Passions continue to keep the man advantage. And leave Snedka and Insta in a 2-on-3. Make it a 2-on-2. Now that Insta's got that frag.
Yeah, and Hampus, he was in a very good position to actually take down any of the players unsuspecting of a flank and of the lurk to be exact. And Zayid, he's actually sticking it. Insta, no! That is not where the bomb was planted, Zayid. That's very dissatisfying for him. Of course, he looks at the minimap. He's probably thinking that the bomb is planted on the top of train. Goes for the purifier, but the thing is, that is not where the bomb is planted. It's planted towards his sort of default spot now at this point. And well, that's a bit of a failure there from the Passion side, but in the end, it still was, and I'm expecting it to continue on to be a very close affair here. Really, it's hard to say which team really came out on top. I guess you could say Passion's picking up those 7 rounds, but even then, Tricked making a very valiant effort at defending on that CT side, and still, it's interesting to see which team will be functioning better on their side. Maybe it's going to be Passions on the CT side. Could be the case. They seem to be a bit of a more better CT-sided team. On the T side, they still seem to be lacking some of that important team cohesion as still very much a relatively newly formed team. Now, Trick, they deployed some of that utility on this 8 bomb site, but it looks like, but will they continue on with the push? Apparently not from main, not from Pop Dog, but take a look at Ivy. This is where the majority presence of those terrorist side players is at, but now they're in fact backing away. This is now looking relatively intriguing from the Danish squad.
Yeah, they've used pretty much all their utility early on there with the 2 smokes, the flashes going over, and yet Passions are not falling for this whatsoever. I thought Tricks maybe were going to fake the A play and then pretend they're going back to B, but it seems like they haven't really tried to sell that either, and so they're just going to push now without really the utility in their favor. You can already see Rixo going to throw out the final flashbang, and so the rest of Tricked will make their way forwards. And Insta trying to take a fight at long range. It's actually Hampus to open up. Trades back and forth as Rusty gets a kill. But after all is said and done, Brolan is the only man left alive. And so the raw firepower just overwhelms the site for Tricked there. They don't even need any of that utility. They just make their way forwards with the Glocks, and they take the round in their favor. A very sort of frantic round there towards the A site.
Yeah, you can say that at the very least. I mean, it looked relatively scary there from the Trick side. They were entering the A bomb site from Ivy, but in fact, Passions, some of their players not hitting the shots. Rusty did a very good hold there from Sandwich, but the rest of the squad, really, it comes down to hitting their shots, and some of the players, I have to admit, did not, and so Tricked, able to effectively take the A bomb site, get themselves the pistol round going, and now they're facing Passions, who have got a bit of a force by here by the looks of it. And look at this positioning from Hampus and co. Benny boosting up Hampus here as they are slowly edging their way towards toilets. They're not going to be seeing anyone as of yet, but that's admittedly a nice setup. But they're going to continue on with the push. Gotta be careful. As Tricked are playing passively for a reason, they're expecting a push from the Passion side.
Yeah, Tricked playing fairly safe. Might be Rusty to have the chance for the first kill with that scout. But even then, still Tricked taking their sweet time here. And with Hampus being pushed out towards B, if Tricked are going to go for an A play, which looks fairly likely, then they are going to have to deal with the 4 stacked towards the A site. So let's see if that is indeed the idea for Tricked. You can already see them making their way out towards the A site, so it seems like it will be the case. Lookie's going in first. He does find 1 kill, but the scout gets a trade. Snedker himself also finds an entry frag, so Passion's still falling on the A site, but there's Zadish to find a frag. The pistol's doing a fairly good job here, but just as I say that, Insta and Snedker shut 2 players down. And so Hampus, the 1 player pushed out from B, will be coming through for the flank all the way through A main. They might not expect this one, as Hampus does get 1 free kill, shooting Snedker in the chest rather than lining up the headshot, but gets the kill either way. Doesn't matter too much though, because the trade comes out, and so Tricked do get themselves the round eventually, despite Passions having a fairly good stack on the A site.
No, that was, I have to admit, that was a very good stack, especially as you had Hampus towards toilet. You're probably thinking that he's the player. He is the player who's put in the position where he can do the most amount of damage on the Tricked side, but in fact, his flank was relatively late, and the thing is that he was only able to get the single frag in the end, and that simply is not good enough. And Passions, we're seeing the repercussions. In fact, it's going to be a full-on eco from the Passion side, not even investing in any upgraded pistols, and we're seeing an interesting play from them. They've actually decided to stack B, but the problem is, as Insta is clearing out the A bombs, and he's realizing that, hey, there's a serious lack of CTs, might as well plant the bomb here towards this A part of the map, and that is where the action will be happening. Passions, they have some of those players, 3 of them to be exact, are now maybe gonna try to set up for exit frags. I mean, that's still a possibility. They might try to recover something, but in the best case scenario, that is the 1 AK. Otherwise, you're seeing these MAC-10s and SMGs UMP to be exact from the Tricked side, and that is something not really worth recovering, and thus Passions, they're gonna falter, as relatively expected to see, and Tricked now. I'm wondering, are they actually gonna keep the SMGs? If they will, that's not that bad of an idea. With them having the SMGs, it would be nice to see them actually try to go for a bit of a quicker play here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, because Tricked still have plenty of money in the bank. They will definitely have still a full buy into the next round, even if they lose this one. So if they can just push together quickly towards a site and find even a few kills out of the round, it's really not that bad, because then you can try and reset Passions yourself. And especially over towards B, that's certainly a possibility, especially with Passions only having Brolan towards the B site. They have to be fairly careful there. I believe Hampus was trying to find the wall bang early on. I think Insta may have taken a tiny bit of damage. You can see Tricked are indeed lining up for the B push. Let's see where Brolan is positioned. He's back towards back the blue train. He could just get overwhelmed, and indeed a quick trade comes through. So that's a rifle that can be picked up for Tricked and the B bomb site all to themselves. And so the SMG play might just work out as Lucky tries to take some more fights. He's going to fall back and let his teammates try and come out on top. But Benny himself finds a kill with the AWP. Here comes Rixo though. The max sprays 2 down. Looking for the third, but not quite going to find it. Either way, the damage is done. And Passions, with just 2 players left, both fairly low, decide they can't win this one. They're going to go for the save. And Hampus isn't even allowed that. Lucky takes him down from behind. Benny does get the trade kill eventually. But either way, Tricked with just the SMGs will be more than happy to take another round win.
And how powerful were those SMGs? I mean, they overwhelmed Brolan relatively easily. He was the only defender on that B bomb set at the time when there was no any of his compadres nearby. They choose the perfect timing here, Trick, able to push on that B bomb set, getting the kill onto Brolan. And as they have deployed deeper smokes onto the B bomb site towards the trains themselves and also towards Connector, that allowed the SMGs to continue on with the push. And once the smokes bloomed, Passions, I mean, they had their M4s and whatnot, but they didn't have head armor, so those were easy pickings for the SMGs in that sort of range. So nicely done there from Trick, overwhelming the B bombs and acquiring the round, and also having some decent amount of money to boot. That's something they can be happy about here. The Tricked side, the Swedes of Passions, though, they're gonna have to eco here. There's no other way of putting it. Eco this one out here, Passions, and you will be very much back into the game when it comes down to the investment. But they could definitely start picking up some rounds here, the Swedes.
Certainly could be the case, but they're going to have to start picking up those rounds fairly soon here, because Tricked are starting to run away with this one a little bit, assuming they win this round, which is still a fair assumption because Passions have some investment. But if they do, 13-7 up, already fairly far ahead. And so unless Passions can sort of get something like a double AWP setup rolling and continually win rounds, that's the one thing you'd really, of course, need on the Passions side. Either way, the B stack in this round for Passions will not work for them. Tricked yet again walk their way on towards A, sending out the MAC-10 first just to scout things out, and it's a will spot out Benny, who takes him out early on. So that's him dropped out of the round, but again, it's only the SMG lost. And so the rifles of Tricked will be left alive to close out this round. That should be doable for them. You can see Snedka likely going to take the first fight. Brolan on the other side thinking about peeking in and out. There is Snedka only getting the 1 kill as Brolan finds the trades. Still looking good for the AKs though. Here we go. The long range fight's always going to favour the rifles. So Brolan at the very least gets an AK. The time's already ticked down too far, but can Brolan go for the save? Well, he's going to do a bit more damage as he finds another frag. Ooh, nice headshots coming out from Brolan at the end there, finding 3 kills. The round still goes to Tricked, but at least trying to control the economy, which is really sort of bounding out of control now for the Danes.
Of course, especially as we saw, Trick this time around. In fact, they had 4 AK-47s. It wasn't like they had 4 SMGs this round. No, they had 4 AK-47s, so that is more damage being dealt here on a round like this. We saw previously from Passions. That is good overall. As Trick, they started building up that bank. And if you're Passions, you obviously want to try to control it at the very least. And taking a look towards the A part of the map, we're actually seeing a decent amount of utility being deployed here from the Tricked side. But it's not like they're putting all of their forces here. Okay, now they are. Now they're going for the push here, but the bomb being dropped is now going to make things even harder for the Tricked. And now you have Console and Snedker who are still very much in the fight. but they need to get some sort of kills here quick, and no kills will go in their favor. Rusty, very nicely done by him. Console though caught out with the nade in hand as Rusty. Now we're gonna have to see, can Console try and clutch this one out? He was quite the nuisance here on the city side in the position he is right now towards the sandwich, but really that bomb, it's dropped in the middle of nowhere. Console recovering it is gonna be quite the difficult affair, and as he is walking into the crosshairs of Benny, he should already be typing in kill in Console. Okay, that was horrible. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, Hawker.
That's a bit too far. Console can still win this. I mean, okay, well, yep, curse of the commentator. He can't win it anymore because Benny's killed him. But a 1-on-2 there, not completely impossible. And again, all things considered, tricked there. They got it down to that 2-on-3. I think it's somewhat doable from that position. The issue was they just didn't have the utility to really be able to push forwards. So when Benny's holding back Ivy with an AWP, it's really difficult to deal with that as the terrorist if you don't push with the initial execute towards the site. So that's something I think Tricked are just going to have to commit when they go for these sort of A pushes, especially. If you've got players AWPing from sort of those back lanes, it's almost impossible really to win that sort of fight, especially as the AWP can always just duck back into cover if he misses. Either way, we're going to have to focus on this round because Passions seem to be going for some aggression in towards A main. You can see Zadish pushing up first, playing up close. Rixo is on the other side as well. There's a couple of players here, so we're likely to see action early into the round because Tricked are already throwing their nades over towards A. This didn't work previously. Let's see if it does this time because Snedka has already got that first entry. Insta himself finds another headshot, and it's looking good for the Danes as they look to overwhelm the A site. Although Hampus gets one back to a 3-on-3, and Tricked still not really towards the site. Finally, Console will try and get the bomb down. He's just about going to be able to do so, but the rest of his team fairly far away, so that allows Hampus a fairly easy kill with Snedka and Lucky, the two players left.
Yeah, Snedker, he's in a pretty hard spot now. 21 points of health for him. Being towards Pop Dog is quite the difficult spot. He's gonna try to survive here for as long as possible, as pretty much this round is on the hands of Loki, but he's gonna drop, and now I think Snedker is gonna have it difficult, and we are seeing the repercussions of it. Tricked. You know, Loki, he might have had a chance if, Snedker would have survived there for a bit longer enough, but at the same time, gotta give credit. I'm not quite sure which player it was from the city side. Maybe it was Hampus who actually looked towards the green train, spotting out the player flanking. That is pretty much round over at that point. Snedker trying to get the 1 versus 3. I mean, it's possible, but Passions would have to whiff their shots quite a bit in order for Snedker to win that 1 versus 3. And Tricked, at one point in time, they had a relatively good back. I mean, they had a decent amount of money being built up. They had those frags from the SMGs, but now they themselves are facing some, I have to admit, some economical issues on this terrorist side, and thus they're going to be sticking with pistols, but they have afforded utility, to be exact, smokes which have been deployed on this A bomb set, and this is where the pistols will try to reign supreme as Insta wrapping around, picking up a kill, not a second one though, as the bomb will be planted, so that's a pretty good thing for Tricked, but Passions are going to try to make this one, gotta try to win this one as quick, as painfully as possible.
Yep, Snedka with a CZ, nothing to be done here. So many players just staring towards him. And so Passions will take the round win. But Tricked get the bomb plant. It doesn't really matter too much. They were going to get the buy anyway, but always nice to build up the money a little bit further. Just taking a quick look at the kills at this point. I think Benny on the CT side, when he's had that AWP, has looked really quite good so far. That's been something that Passions have been a little bit reliant upon. But he's able to get that AWP now for a considerable amount of time. And here we go. Round 24 will be a gun round for both teams. And we really are getting into the late stages of this game now. Into the 24th round already. This one could certainly end up being incredibly close. As again, both teams back to the buys. We've seen Tricked in the last 2 gun rounds try and go for that A play. And they got fairly close, but didn't really have the success in terms of the round win. So let's see if they decide to switch anything up. Because for the time being, Tricks seem to be just spread out across the map, but again, looks like they're more focused around A to start things off. So if they do go for the A play again, we'll have to see if they switch anything up or just go for a similar execute, because that hasn't really been too successful in the previous couple of rounds.
No, it hasn't. It really hasn't been that successful. I mean, Tricked, at least they get the bomb plant, which is pretty much phase 1. or something you can write off the checklist when you enter, for instance, the bomb site, like the A bomb site here on train. So that's a good part for them. But then when the retake does commence here from Passions, they simply are not in the best positions. I mean, Pop Dog is a relatively good spot there from the T side, but in most cases, if CTs have utility, they can simply block off that player, as simple as that, and he can't really do much. And you know, the post plan we saw previously, that was a 2 versus 3, and winning that for Trick is quite difficult to say the least. So I don't blame them to maybe try to allow their individuals try to get some sort of quick kill on the A or the B part of the map, and then try to execute, because then it might work out for them a bit better. But Passions are the ones to get the initial frag, and I'm seeing Hampus, he might just do something more, but he does not get a single frag. But console from Pop Dog though, things are now looking interesting for Trick, as they are making it competitive, very competitive indeed, as Brawlin pushes through as a kill for console and a run for Trick. Well, that was relatively quick there, I have to admit. I was thinking that, okay, Passions, they get the initial frag, things are looking up for them, but Trick, the defense, pardon me, the offense, kind of overwhelmed the defense there of Passions.
Yeah, you were saying there you wanted to see Trick sort of spread out and look for picks and play things slowly at the start of the round. That's what they decided to do in this one, but you always do run the risk of having to push late into the round. There was only 30 seconds left, and yet still Trick managed to overwhelm the A site there. I think it was a couple of kills coming in towards Pop Dog, one of them, that really made a massive difference, and then Passions were in trouble. And so now we're going to see Trick again, all grouped up as a team at the early stages of a round. And this time they are all in towards Brown Halls as a unit. So Passions with 2 players towards B will have to hold off this site. But of course Passions themselves have a couple of SMGs in the mix here. So as the push comes forwards, Hampus with the UMP could be in trouble. Specifically, it's Brolan who goes down first. And those 2 kills have come way too quickly. Passions are nowhere near the rotate. And so this round is almost already lost off just 2 kills on the B site.
Yeah, it's simple as that. As you have only 2 defenders on that B bomb set, if they get overwhelmed, that's pretty much the round over for Passions. Trying to retake it a 5 versus 3, I mean, that's quite the mad wish right there, if it were to happen from the Passions side. So at this point, you lose the battle, you lose the initial engagement so fast, it does make sense to save, especially as the second half is coming to a close. And as it is coming to a close, Passions are now going to be down in 5 rounds. That is something that is not good for the CT side. They're gonna be able to, I think, pull off a buy here. I mean, after all, they're gonna have to force buy here, as it is possibly their very last round here on train. And I mean, the B defense, it didn't work out there, and that's simply, they got overwhelmed there, Alex. I mean, it's just sad. Passions, it would be nice to see maybe for players trying to play a bit more aggressive, because honestly, we haven't really seen any sort of aggressions from the Passion side.
Well, Hampus is going to perform what you asked, but he doesn't seem ready there. Hampus, I think, must have been itching his nose or something, because he did not move his crosshair whatsoever as the push came in. And so Trick get a free opening kill, trades back and forth towards Ivy. Seems like are still in the favour of Trick to have themselves the man advantage. And so Passion's defence slowly but surely falling apart. There are still a couple of players towards the A site. Zadish is here towards Red Train, but Tricked, off the back of winning those opening trades, are more than happy to just play things slowly and again play from a 4-on-3 where they have a great chance when they do eventually decide to hit a site.
Yeah, that's now an interesting question. What will Trick do at this point? They have the man advantage, and pretty much whatever side Trick decides to hit, they will be having that advantage. So all they gotta do now is just pretty much regroup and try to hit either of the sides. But by the looks of it, they're gonna try to hit A, but the way they're gonna hit it is in fact through 3 angles. And console, yeah, that's not good enough, Zadish. Brolin and Benny now, they're still gonna try to do something about it, but now Benny's been spotted out. He's behind the site itself, and now Brolin, can he try to do something for the team? Because otherwise, they're gonna have to take the L here on train. And Brolin, he's been spotted out, and he's gonna get taken down. Tricked picking up train in a relatively convincing fashion here on the second half. The first half, relatively close. Both these teams having a very good go at that first half, but on the second half, I have to give props for Trick. They were astoundingly good, I have to admit.
Yeah, Tricked performing surprisingly well, especially considering this is their first official match with Snedker, of course. He didn't play particularly well, but he didn't need to. I think it was Console up there at 27 kills, really leading the way. And so they managed to get the win at 16-10 just off the back of that. And that's a really good sign for Tricked. Not only did they win their first game, but this also puts them 2-0 in their group. And also, Passions have been one of the better teams in Group A so far. They've been able to win 3 of their first 4 matches. So the fact that Tricked here took a fairly not particularly comfortable, but it was a decent win for them over Passions here. It looks good for their chances heading into the later stages of this Group A.
Yeah, we're gonna be hitting those later stages, but for the time being, that is it for our first game, and we're gonna be tuning into our second game, which I do believe is gonna be involving the second. I can still think you can call them the second best Polish team
Ooh,
against C, the
controversial.
Germans. Yeah, no, that's an interesting matchup, I have to admit.
Yeah, I mean with AGO doing pretty well at the minor, they certainly have a claim for themselves, but we will get to see Kingwin up against Seed,
Maybe.
so ooh, okay. Well, maybe we'll discuss that later. We'll be back with Kingwin up against Seed after the break, so make sure to stick around for that one, because that's going to be a very exciting game over in